Okay. Well, like I said, you guys were deployed in Iraq, and a very serious situation happened in 2007, which is known as the Nisour Square Massacre.
Yep.
So I read into this situation. So a car bomb ended up exploding near the compound where a bunch of U.S. and Iraqi officials were meeting. And you guys sent a 19-man technical support team, 4 convoy trucks, called Raven 23. They were supposed to stay in the safe zone, but the commander, Jimmy Watson, actually went into the actual square. Is this part accurate?
Well, there was a car bomb that went off outside of a building where there was a USAID official that we were protecting. Mm-hmm. And typically, after an event like that, it's called hardpoint, you just stay there. But because all the Iraqi guards fled the area, that team decided to move. And when you're gonna move through a dangerous area of Baghdad, and of course the State Department mandated that we move the VIPs, the protectees, in armored Suburbans, lights and sirens, very obvious where that target is. I will note that if we were doing security work for a corporate customer or an NGO, we used very indigenous-looking vehicles, and we never had any shootouts for those because you can't kill what you can't see. But the State Department mandated you must drive a Suburban with lights and sirens. It's an image thing. Okay. And so that team decided to move off that X. And you put a support team into a traffic circle because if you're, are you a deer hunter at all?
No.
Okay, well, if you're ever hunting deer, you hunt a trail intersection because that's the place to ambush them. In the same way, if you're going to kill Americans, you hunt these big traffic circles because that's the place to ambush them. So a support team would go and clear that traffic circle and make it so that the team could flow through there quickly and hopefully avoid that ambush. And while they're there, Raven 23 is in this traffic circle. Mm-hmm. They'd actually got in a briefing that morning to be on the lookout for a white Kia, which was likely a car bomb. One of the vehicles that didn't stop, in fact, the only vehicle that didn't stop was a white Kia. And the guys engaged it. Turns out it was not a car bomb. It was a male and female, a female and I think her son.
Exactly, yeah. It was a mother and her adult son.
Yes.
The adult son, I believe, was the driver.
Correct. Again, the only car that didn't stop for the traffic circle, it was engaged, and that kicked off a much bigger firefight with a lot of Iraqis shooting at the support vehicles. One of those incoming rounds severed the radiator hose on the State Department vehicle, which caused all the coolant to drain out of the engine. And when you have no coolant in an engine, those modern Caterpillar engines shuts down. So now the vehicle is disabled in this traffic circle, taking incoming fire. And they had to stop and rig the tow before they could drag it out of there. And that's how that tragic event happened.
Right. Well, eventually, prosecutors argued that Raven 23 did not face hostile gunfire when they began shooting. This came out in court. And after the car was shot up, the driver was killed, and then they came in and killed the passenger, which was the mother. They threw a grenade and blew the car up.
No, they wouldn't. No, they didn't throw a grenade. There was a 40 millimeter grenade fired at the vehicle to stop the vehicle.
Okay, got it. Because then they said that Raven 23 set off stun grenades to clear the scene, but then the Iraqi police and soldiers thought they were actual grenades, and then fire began to go in both directions.
The best analysis of this is done by Sean Ryan. He does a long interview with the guys from Raven 23 and take you through the blow by blow. The sad thing is the DOJ had to come at them, I think, 4 times to finally get a prosecution, a conviction.
Well, right. After the dust settled, 17 Iraqi citizens.
Not accurate.
No?
It was 11.
11 Iraqi citizens were killed.
Yeah. The company hired the prosecutor, the Iraqi prosecutor that prosecuted Saddam Hussein, to go meet with all the families. There was only 11.
Okay. And they say,
look, 11, 17, still tragic.
Still tragic.
Yes.
Right.
But it's 11. The media
Okay.
throws around 17, not accurate.
Right. I heard 14 once. I heard 17,
11.
20 wounded. Is that accurate?
I don't know about the wounded count because there was a lot of people showing up at hospitals with AK wounds. Our guys would not have been firing an AK. AK-47 fires a very distinctive round from a round that an American would have been carrying.
Well, at one point during the firefight, a Blackwater helicopter showed up. And people that were there say that the helicopter fired into the crowd as well. There was actually like a bullet hole in one of the roofs of the car. Blackwater said that never happened.
Yeah, they log the rounds fired, the round counts. So they would have counted rounds at the end of that mission, and if there was full round count, that would have been accurate.
I mean, regardless of the exact details, this was a train wreck.
Anytime you have a war zone, accidents can happen. Absolutely. Yeah. And to give perspective on that week prior in Baghdad, it was not all peace, love, and happiness. We'd had a helicopter shot down with I think 7 guys on board. They survived. We had another convoy on the Baghdad highway, not far from where this incident happened. That put guys in the hospital. Again, explosive ambush initiated against the vehicles, put guys in the hospital. So yeah, it was a dangerous place. The center of gravity of that Iraq fight was in Baghdad. And so trying to do diplomatic security, moving civilians around to have interaction with Iraqi government officials in the midst of a combat zone is hard. Yeah, we did 100,000 missions between Iraq and Afghanistan. 100,000 protective missions. No one under our care was ever killed or injured. 41 Blackwater personnel died doing that work.
Wow.
So war is a tragedy.
Yeah.
And people are right to be upset at the loss of innocent civilians. Do you know how many civilians have been killed in Iraq since then?
Thousands?
85,000.
Yeah.
85,000. Do you know who's responsible for the nonsense in Iraq?
Who's that?
The Iranians.
Oh, really?
In 2004, here's the thing. When you look back in history, there has always been major enmity between Iraq and Iran. Mm-hmm. Iran, the Persian Empire, wants to rule the whole place. Still do.
Yeah.
You're seeing that played out in Lebanon today with the Iranian sponsoring the Houthis in Yemen and even their support for Hamas in Gaza. So Shia Iran versus largely then Sunni Iraq run by Saddam Hussein. Huge war, Iran-Iraq war. When the U.S. toppled Saddam Hussein, Iran went out of their way to subjugate Iraq. I remember, because I was there, in 2004, the chief of Iraqi intelligence, a guy named Mohammed Shawani, came to see me with his agency CIA handler and said, we're seeing all kinds of evidence of the Iranians setting up the same kind of tentacles like they've done in Lebanon with Hezbollah. Political offices, assassination teams, heavy influence operation. And he said, we want a program to find them and to wipe them out, to stop the Iranians from controlling Iraqi society. We priced it up. CIA was going to pay for it. Blocked by Condoleezza Rice. No, Iran is not our enemy. We have to respect the political process. That was a single dumb pivot move in Iraq, because if we had severed and prevented the Iranians from getting their hooks into Iraq, Iraq would be a truly free and I would say much more prosperous society today. But now, look at, you hear about the drones and missiles and rocket fire that attack U.S. troops while they're in Iraq. Do you know where that comes from? The Hashtashabi. Okay, it's called the Popular Mobilization Units, which are Iranian-controlled, literally Iranian officers, a Hezbollah-like army inside of Iraq that the Iraqi government has really no power over. And in Iran decides who the Iraqi prime minister is going to be and who those cabinet ministers are. So the U.S., for all the blood and treasure and effort in Iraq, just turned over Iraq to the Iranians, not even to Iraqi sovereignty. It's a real tragedy.
Crazy.